The 89-year-old skyscraper is one of the leading examples of Art Deco architecture. At 1,046 feet, it became the world's tallest building, but only after builders installed a 125-foot stainless steel spire atop the structure. That title only lasted 11 months when its larger neighbor, the Empire State Building, opened its doors just a few blocks away. Sale price estimates for the famed Chrysler Building vary, but its majority owners, the Abu Dhabi Investment Council, hope to recoup the $800 million it paid for the building back in 2008. But buyer beware, the land beneath the building is owned by New York's Cooper Union School, and the lease last year came to $32.5 million. On top of that, the new owners will also have to compete for tenants with newer buildings that offer much more up-to-date amenities. Ain't that the truth?
I don't care. If I had $800 million, I'd buy it.
It is beautiful. The most beautiful building.
I just adore it.
In New York City.
When they took a look, go, that's my building.
Yeah.
Really cool. Really cool. All right, up next, returning to the musical role that made him a star, we'll take you to last night's opening of the smash hit Hamilton on a stage far from Broadway. And we'll find out the very personal reasons Lin-Manuel Miranda decided to put on that colonial costume one more time. For some of you, your local news is next. The rest stick around. You're watching CBS This Morning, Saturday.
Coming up today on News, we continue to follow reports of weather-related accidents across the Miami Valley, including a semi-crash in Clark County. The snow has arrived and continues to fall today. We have expert advice on how you can stay safe on the roads. We'll see you at noon.
Save thousands this weekend and build your dream backyard. See the amazing Michael Phelps swim spas and hot tubs at the Spa Blowout sale at the Home Show and Date at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds. For details, log on to OhioSpaShow.com or call 1-800-SPA-SALE. That's 1-800-SPA-SALE.
Hi, I'm Gary Sickles, founder and CEO of Safe Harbor Retirement Group. When you leave a job, don't leave your 401k behind. There are often many expenses associated.
First thing is just you just sort of explaining how it all kind of went down. Yeah, so I've been friends with William for like about a year and a half now. He had shown me your pictures. You are fine. So mine were, I thought, I'm going to help my friend and I said, you can use my photos. So I messaged Dallas. When you first started talking, that was me. I said, trust me, I got plenty of photos. If you really like this boy, I hope you get him. But I can't be staying here. Wait, so what was the plan that you, because talking to him from your account is getting him. So what the plan was for me to message him. He then was going to text me with him. Then they were going to sit there and talk. Eventually, I was going to come out here. That's why I sent William the photos. And then we all get together and I would just. Did you ever have any kind of like feeling? I never had a genuine feeling for you. You are attractive. Your handsome as I think. Yeah. I know, right? But I couldn't see myself. William. But would you have participated in a threesome with Dallas in the effort to sort of tee him up with the men helping him and him like be intimate? I'm free, yeah. I'm free. So this is crazy. Dallas, I'm not telling you that what you're doing is wrong, but like the way your content is
history. Coming up, see why it's having a very real effect at one of the nation's airports.
Then tomorrow, she'll make history by being the first woman to referee an NFL playoff game. We'll hear how this is not Sarah Thomas's first time breaking new ground.
And it may be the highest honor for the artists who compose the music we love. Exclusively here this morning, the announcement of this year's inductees into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. That's all ahead.
But first, our top story this hour, President Trump was reportedly the target of an FBI counterintelligence investigation into whether he had been secretly working for Russia and whether he was a threat to national security. According to a report published Friday night by the New York Times, some FBI agents and law enforcement officials became suspicious about Mr. Trump's posture towards Russia during the 2016 campaign. But the investigation was not launched until after the president fired FBI Director James Comey in May of 2017.
The investigation was triggered by a letter written but not sent from the president to Comey, thanking him for previously telling him he was not a subject of the larger Russia investigation, and by the president's interview with NBC News, in which he said he fired Comey because of the Russia investigation. The Times reports special counsel Robert Mueller took over the counterintelligence investigation, but it is unclear whether that part of the inquiry is still being pursued. In a series of tweets this morning, President Trump criticized the New York Times and former FBI leaders, saying the investigation was open with no reason and no proof.
The partial federal government shutdown is now in its 22nd day, making this closure in history. About 800,000 federal employees Friday, and while the House and Senate voted to give them back pay, Congress adjourned for the weekend without a clear plan on how to reopen the government. President Trump, who is at an impasse with House Democrats over more than $5 billion to build a wall along the southern border, backed off his idea to declare a national emergency in order to secure those funds.
Now, the easy solution is for me to call a national emergency. I could do that very quickly. I have the absolute right to do it, but I'm not going to do it so fast because this is something Congress should do.
A CBS News poll out Friday finds a majority of Americans, 55%, do not approve of the way the president is handling the shutdown. 46% disapprove of the way congressional Democrats are dealing with it. 53% don't like the way Republicans in Congress are handling the situation.
That same poll finds 62% of Americans are concerned about the impact the shutdown will have on transportation and air travel. And the government's closure is now beginning to tax the nation's aviation system. Chris Van Cleves is at Miami International Airport this morning, where one of the concourses will be closed for most of the weekend. Say it ain't so, Chris.
Well, good morning. This is one of those tangible impacts of the shutdown. This is the concourse that's going to close starting this afternoon, every afternoon for at least the next few days. And that's going to free up the TSA officers who are here on the job working again without pay today to go to busier checkpoints. This as the shutdown is rolling into week 3. Miami's airport calls the decision to close Concourse G starting after 1 p.m. a precautionary measure after TSA sick calls here have doubled this week. Nationally, they're up about 50%, but the vast majority of workers remain on the job, even after receiving pay stubs like this one showing $0.
Everybody now is probably at the highest point of anxiety that they've been since this whole thing has started. You know, the reality is setting in. We're not going to get paid.
And TSA leaders remain worried about a national tipping point when screeners look elsewhere for work. You didn't get a paycheck today.
That's correct. And the impact it's going to have on me is the ability for me to be able to pay my bills.
Helen Porche is a furloughed FAA aviation inspector. She's worried about safety.
Who's minding the store right now? Nobody.
With the FAA furloughed, regional carrier Silver Airways has brand new planes sitting in a Fort Lauderdale hangar. It can't fly.
Every month that we don't introduce the aircraft, we're losing out on millions of dollars of revenue.
Silver will be the first in the U.S. to fly the ATR turboprops, but that requires FAA certification that can't be completed during the shutdown.
We had hoped to introduce these airplanes into revenue service February 1st. We sold tickets into a number of markets beginning February 1st, and it looks clearly at this point that we're not going to make that deadline. Every day that we miss during high season is an opportunity lost. So yes, it's exceedingly frustrating. And our employees understand, but they're frustrated too.
Delta may have to delay the launch of its new Airbus A220s for the same reason. But some travelers are taking to social media to thank those working without pay, asking whether TSA officers can get tips or take gift cards. And the Pittsburgh airport bought them lunch Friday. The union representing some 20,000 air traffic controllers became the latest union to sue the Trump administration over the shutdown yesterday. Air traffic controllers are on the job working without pay. One little piece of good news for TSA officers like the ones behind me here: if they worked December 22nd, the TSA administrator says they're going to be able to pay them for that one day, because it should have been in the last pay period but fell during the shutdown. They're at least going to be able to get that one day of pay out next week. Anthony?
Not much, but at least it's something, Chris. Thanks. A powerful winter storm is bringing heavy snow to parts of the Midwest. The storm is expected to move to parts of the East and Mid-Atlantic states. St. Louis and other cities are expected to get as much as a foot of snow today. Rush hour traffic on Friday night in St. Louis was dangerous, with some vehicles losing control on snowy highways. Some major roads were closed. An American Eagle plane in Columbia, Missouri skidded off a runway during the storm. The airport's 2 runways were shut down. None of the 80 people aboard the plane were hurt.
Good to hear. And a painfully expensive, forgettable moment had a happy ending here in New York. Shortly before leaving for Kazakhstan around Christmas time, a woman left her purse with $10,000 in cash on a subway bench. She filed a police report in hopes that someone would find the bag and return it. Retired financial consultant Richard Taverna turned out to be that someone. The woman gave Taverna a statue of God, and she made a $1,000 donation in his name to charity.
Wow. Should I ask why there was $10,000 in cash?
Next time, don't carry that much cash. It is about 7 minutes after the hour. Here's a look at the weather for your weekend.
I'm meteorologist Jesse Mack. Snow in the forecast today all day long, really. Temperatures lifting to about freezing, but we're going to see snow lasting even into the overnight hours as well. And as we do so, Dayton specifically could see anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of snow. I think at the very least we'll see 3 inches, but on the flip side, at the very most, 7 inches of snow.
For many, it's a bigger honor than being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Up next, we'll talk to Nile Rodgers, chairman of the Songwriters Hall of Fame, and introduce you to this year's brand new inductees. You're watching CBS This Morning, Saturday.
When nighttime nasal congestion closes in,
argument, because I think that then you're making a decision for him. I think that you could kind of say that, like, you know, some girls that turn away, then that means something about them.
I think it's fair to say that it would be easy to interpret his social media presence as someone who might be bisexual. Okay. I still don't think it makes it okay, though. We were going to go to find out where Dallas lived, arrange a date, and to talk to him about the situation, get him comfortable. But if you wanted to meet up so bad, why not meet up all the time? Because I want to do it with someone who's always gone. So she's just not in LA all the time. So the plan was, we were she's going to introduce me as her friend. And then from there, she would have eventually, and then me and him would have. But now we have nothing. I apologize if it came off wrong. Safari can tell you. Where's Safari? Safari is in LA or is she in Arizona? In LA. If you want to talk to her about it. Okay, great. So she's here. Yeah, I'd like to hear from her. I will go to Safari and send you guys. Text us where to meet you and all right. Thanks. That's great. I'm curious to know if Safari's story, she may not even necessarily really know how far it went. All right.
just got an address. Show me the real Safari. Definitely crazy. Let the awkwardness begin. Well, first thing is just you just sort of explain how it all kind of went down.
Yeah, so I've been friends with William for like about a year and a half now. You had showed me your pictures. You are fine. So my heart, I thought I'm gonna help my friend take my photos. And so I messaged Valerie. When you first started talking, that was me. I said, trust me, I got plenty of photos. If you really like this boy, I'll get him. But I can't be sitting here about
wait, so what was the plan? Because talking to your account is getting it. So what
the plan was for me to message him. He then was going to text him. That's why I sent William the photos. And then we all get together and I was just. Did you ever have any kind of like feeling? I never had a genuine feeling for you. You are attractive. Your handsome. He's okay. I know, right? But I was looking for a friend's sake. Like, I couldn't see myself.
William, but would you have participated in the with Dallas and then sort of tee him up and like be intimate?
Yeah. I'm free. Dallas, I'm not telling you that what you're doing is wrong, but like the way that you're content on your Instagram, it seems like you know to a certain sexuality in order to make money on it. I have like a OnlyFans type of too. I have women subscribers and male. So like my sexuality, I have wanted with both.
I don't agree with you guys when it comes to the fact that like because Dallas caters to homosexual fan base and it's like puts some of it on. Like I don't get that.
I can totally get like the thought process, but I think it's kind of not your place to put someone in that position to explore that.
Dallas, this is how you really feel. We respect that, and I respect it as an individual, and I apologize if I made you feel any type of way. Thanks for the clarity. It's awesome. Sorry, I'm kind of cockblocked. It's okay. Alright, we'll walk us out and we'll say our goodbyes. Alright. Are you mad at her? Or like, I'm mad at you. She would help somebody. Basically, but thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe, tap this content, and if you want to watch more right now, click right here.
Hey, don't stress. Don't have TaxPro Go. You just upload your docs and TaxPro goes with us.
Marching until Monday? Yeah. Yes.
File in the TaxPro without going anywhere. In person or online. Doc has your back.
He's somewhere around here. Oh, wow. That's him, right there. Is that him? Yeah. What? What? That's him. Oh my God, no, it's not. Yes, it is. He seems to be waving very enthusiastic. Oh my God. Good, though. That's weird. How the heck is we on there? Can't believe it. Let's see, like, damn. Don't act like you're too pretty. You want us to walk up on the What's up, Rich? What's going on? Greet you. Are you all right? Okay. Hello. How are you? Yeah. Surprised to meet you. This is crazy. Like, the whole situation is all crazy, so I'm just gonna. You called me yesterday. I was shooting yesterday. Okay, so it's outgoing message. Yeah, okay. It's been going on for some time now, right? And I'm sorry that it's been going on for that amount of time, like, but I gotta say, it hasn't been me, bro. It hasn't been. It has not been me, bro. It has not been me. I'll give you the rundown. So I see your DM. When I saw it, I'm like, what's going on here? Social media is crazy. Lots of DMs. But I'm not right. I can't be on Instagram talking to people crazy like that. So, I don't do my own social media. I haven't done my own social media page for quite some time. So I mean, I'm sorry that I don't want to be like a prick on here, but it hasn't been happened with me. And I feel bad about it. You have to know it. So that's my nephew, bro. What guy you looking for? Hey, what's going on? So we're just finding out what's been going on here. I just have one question, please. How many different girls? I get thousands. So I just basically go through the DMs and I find whichever one is the one that will reply. That's about it. Yeah, that's it. So, like specifically our conversation of who you're talking to, or is it just whatever? It's just whatever, because I take Instagram as a joke. I don't take Instagram serious. Hold it up. A lot younger, like some. You in your 20s? Yeah, I'm 20s. What are you trying to get out of it? Asking for. Well, she said. Hold up, take that back. I said, hey. The first thing I ever said was, hey. The second thing you said, send videos. After that, I was talking to you. Just send videos. Well, what do you want to do with $100? I'm getting a sense that you don't feel like you've really done anything wrong, which is kind of crazy. I took it as a joke. Like I said, all the girls just slide in the DMs. How much? Something to feel like what you're doing is ridiculous. I'm just having fun. I don't think it's something that you can brush off it's just for fun. What's fun is not really fun for all these women provocative photos for someone that they really care about. She's a caring woman, and she really like was perfect. That's perfect. I thought she would have got the hint, but I never met up well or never saw that call and stuff like that. You don't carry it all faithful. I was entertained by it, so I just kept feeding it. To the vibe, just kept going with it, whatever. I'm not condoning what he's doing. They're wrong. But if you straight up somebody getting smashed, and I ain't smashed. You're supposed to be DM or whoever that was smashed. The reason why I really was trying to him like emotion, like him open up on him. It's hard out there, so I was just trying to somebody says you want to be somebody says you want to you can't fall in love with somebody you don't know. Or catch feelings with somebody you don't know. That happens all the time. You can't fall everything you know. I'm not full time. You're trying to
Like I feel like everyone knows how you fall in love with a person. You want me? What do you want? I can't.
Like when you go on to well, that's over. That's over on social media. That's
Now all of a sudden he's taking over the dance.
right. So I don't know that it's in my best interest.
Well, you gotta watch out for yourself.
Exactly. You got lots of people talking about how you're flirting with that. It's us, right? And I'll follow. All right, let's see what you have anything to do with this. I want to talk to you. Thank you for coming here. She gonna beat you up. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe for this content. If you want to watch more right now, it's right here. All right, Indianapolis for our next story.
Every time I get like a text from you or my mom or someone, I feel like it's because you guys found out about it and you're going to tell me about it. So I wanted you to hear it from me.
All right, what do we got, Io?
We are headed to Indianapolis to meet Kristen. Kristen is concerned about her stepbrother Thomas.
It's going to be really good.
They met when they were 2 years old. When Thomas's mom married Kristen's dad, they've been best friends ever since. They grew up in Fort Wayne, about 2 hours north of Indianapolis. I've been there, actually. Thomas came out as gay to his socially conservative family about a year and a half ago, and they were not accepting.
Now, Thomas lives in Indianapolis and has been ignoring Kristen's calls and texts. The only way she even knows what's going on with Thomas is through his social media posts.
Lately, Kristen has noticed an increasing amount of posts about drinking, and she's concerned that his partying has gotten out of control.
Since Thomas is not responding to any of her calls or texts, Kristen drove from Fort Wayne to meet us. Hopefully, we can help her reconnect with her brother. Oh, look at this adorable little bed and breakfast we're staying at.
Right. This is crazy. Oh, this is so spooky. There's nobody here. Hello? Even I checking in. Hello?
Yeah, we're just creepy people sniffing around.
This is my room. I call dibs.
You know, knitting. So romantic. I like these little doors. Oh, yeah. Box.